This is not your grave, but you are welcome in it.
Homecoming. Daisy 023 participated in a battle on a war-torn planet, where she rescued several Marines pinned down by Covenant fire. She then assisted in escorting them to an evacuation point, where she met up with Ralph 103, a former Spartan 2 now serving as a Marine after his dismissal from the program. As their evacuation Pelican landed, however, Daisy 023 was shot when covering a UNSC Marine and was impaled by needler rounds. Ralph, who was now aboard the Pelican, attempted to assist her, but she instead yelled for him and the remaining Marines to retreat. Attempting to provide covering fire for their escape, Daisy 023 drew her service pistol and fired on Covenant forces. Her efforts, however, were in vain, as Ralph 103 and the other Marines were soon killed when their Pelican was destroyed by fuel rod gunfire. Devastated, Daisy 023, wounded and unable to move, died where she laid. Her body was later found by John 117, who laid Daisy's teddy bear chain in her hands and closed her eyes in a solemn gesture of respect. Pariah. 2527, Planet Reach, Spartan 2 Training Facility. Soren 066 remained a paper pusher until he was 16, as his so-called temporary position started to feel more permanent. Soren started to feel resentful. This growing resentment made him vulnerable to the ideas of a technician named Parch, who began feeding him ideas sympathetic to the insurrection. Instead of reporting the treasonous individual, Soren just listened. Slowly, his views changed until he found himself on the side of the rebels. After several months of hinting, Parch told Soren that they were going to defect, but were going to take a souvenir for their cause. One night, the two broke into a geological research lab, forced open a locked cabinet, and retrieved a small titanium case. However, they were interrupted by Randall 037. Randall was immediately suspicious of their explanations and escorted them out to the lab to verify the two's authorization. As they left the lab, Soren attacked Randall. As the two struggled, Parch shot Randall with a tranquilizer dart, rendering him unconscious. Soren and Parch then fled the facility and commandeered a longsword fighter, which Parch had prepared, complete with dumb AI Captain Teach. Their plan to escape Reach failed, however, as they were pursued by UNSC aircraft, preventing it from escaping the planet's gravity. Their longsword sustained heavy damage, and with the AI Captain Teach and the backup computer system down, Soren was forced to manually crash land the craft himself, breaking Parch's neck in the process. When Chief Mendez and his Marines found the wreckage in the woods, very little remained. Only thing left was a note on Parch's burned body. Dr. Halsey told Mendez that she believed Soren had survived the crash, but due to his upbringing, would not be found in the woods unless he wanted to be found. Dr. Halsey and Mendez give up the search, declaring that Soren was no threat to them, stating that he was no traitor, just a lost soul. Without a body, Soren 066 was officially declared missing in action. Battle of 11 Bootis A. 13 February 2528, Planet 11 Bootis A. A naval battle that featured 17 UNSC warships versus 8 Covenant. In the end, the battle was a victory for the UNSC, but it came at the cost of 30 UNSC ships, nearly half the fleet. Fall of Madrigal. 5th to 10th December 2528. 28. Planet Madrigal. Occurring on and around the planet Madrigal in the 23 Libri system, the battle was ultimately a Covenant victory and resulted in the glassing of Madrigal. Operation Able Sentry. Planet Circinius 4. The operation saw the deployment of a unit of UNSC Marines, including ODST Edward Buck, to provide force reconnaissance for Operation Phalanx, an operation carried out by Spartan 2s to evacuate civilians and observe Covenant invasion patterns on the planet. Operation Phalanx. 25-29. Planet Circinius 4. The operation saw the evacuation of civilians and observation of Covenant invasion patterns on the planet, utilizing intelligence gained from Operation Able Sentry's UNSC Marine Force Reconnaissance units. Spartan 2s John 117, Michael 120, and Kelly 087 participated in the operation. Battle of Hat Yai. 1st through 3rd January. 25-29. Planet Hat Yai. While the UNSC ground forces were successful in defending against the Covenant attack, the naval battle ended in defeat and ultimately glassing of the planet. Battle of Asmara. 1st through 3rd February, 25-29. Planet Asmara. The Battle of Asmara was a battle on and around the planet, resulting in a UNSC defeat and the glassing of the colony. Operation Blue Moon. 25-29. Planet Eridanus 2. The UNSC mission carried out at some point during the Human-Covenant War. The operation involved the sweeping and clearing of a URF base on Eridanus 2 by an ODST team, with sniper cover provided by Spartan 2 Linda 058. Glassing of Eridanus 2. 25-30. Planet Eridanus 2. The homeworld of John 117 was glassed by an unidentified Covenant force. It is unknown whether the UNSC was able to put up any defense of the colony before its destruction. Battle of the Great Bear. 24 December, 25-30. Groombridge, 1830 system. A naval battle between a UNSC fleet of 17 warships and 3 Covenant warships. The UNSC fleet was led by the UNSC Everest and Admiral Preston Cole. The battle resulted in 11 UNSC ships and 2 Covenant ships being destroyed. The 3rd Covenant ship ultimately crash-landed on the surface of the planet, resulting in the capture of a Singhili prisoner. Battle at Harvest. 25-31. Planet Harvest. The UNSC Spirit of Fire is patrolling northern regions of Planet Harvest. While Sergeant John Forge is on patrol, Alpha Base is attacked by Covenant forces. Finding survivors, Sergeant Forge launches a counter-assault that removes the Covenant presence and reestablishes Alpha Base. Sergeant Forge leads an assault on a Foreigner relic site, removing Covenant forces and preventing its destruction, securing it for Professor Ellen Anders. The Covenant counterattack cuts off the Foreigner site from Alpha Base. UNSC Spirit of Fire deploys forces to link with Sergeant Forge and his Marines, and escort them out. Information gathered from the relic site shows the Covenant are headed to another UNSC colony, Arcadia. Operation Astute Tiger. February 25-31. Planet Harvest. An operation conducted by the UNSC during the Harvest campaign. The operation saw UNSC forces, including ODST Edward Buck, plant area denial munitions around predicted Covenant landing zones prior to the UNSC evacuation attempts. Battle for Arcadia. 9th through 10th February. Planet Arcadia. Moving to Arcadia, the UNSC Spirit of Fire find most of the orbital defense ships are damaged or destroyed by Covenant forces. Deploying to the ground to assist Spartan Red Team consisting of Jerome 092, Douglas 042, and Alice 130 in the evacuation of Perth City. UNSC forces withdraw to a defensible area on city outskirts, holding off Covenant forces long enough for Spartan Team Omega to arrive, comprised of Leon 011, Robert 025, August 099, Vanek 134, Riz 028, and Kai 125. Meanwhile, Covenant forces have put up a large energy shield generator around a site of importance. The UNSC investigate the area and are attacked by a partially built scarab. After dealing with the threats, Professor Anders and Sergeant Forge document the area, but are ambushed by Arbiter Ripa Morami. The Arbiter takes Professor Anders hostage, wounding Forge and escapes just before Red Team arrives. When the Arbiter and Professor Anders aboard a starship, the Spirit of Fire follows, arriving in orbit over an unknown planet. Battle for Etran Harborage, Planet Trove, Forerunner Shield World 0459. The UNSC Spirit of Fire deploys ground troops to search for Professor Anders. Both UNSC and Covenant come under attack from an undiscovered organism, the Flood. Finding the source of a signal at a body of water, the UNSC holds a defensible perimeter. UNSC forces retreat to the Spirit of Fire as the Flood begins to grow above the lake. Suddenly, the lake splits open, revealing an entrance, and swarms of sentinels emerge to fight off the Flood plague. The UNSC Spirit of Fire enters the mysterious structure and emerges through a system of rings that cleanses the ship of all Flood organisms, and once through, reveals a massive shield world. After gaining their surroundings, the Spirit of Fire immediately engages a Covenant destroyer while making ship repairs. Meanwhile, the Arbiter uses Professor Anders to activate an installation called the Apex Site, revealing a fleet of Forerunner warships. Professor Anders makes an escape, using a translocation device to teleport to the surface of the Shield World's interior and rejoining Forge. After securing a base of operations, the UNSC Spirit of Fire's slipspace drive is removed to be used as a bomb, in order to destroy the Forerunner ships and in turn the Shield World, keeping them out of Covenant hands. The Arbiter attempts to stop them, sending his elites to stop the humans. While the Red Team fights off the Arbiter's elites, Sergeant Forge is ambushed by the Arbiter near the bomb. Forge manages to kill the Arbiter with his own energy sword. After all threats are neutralized, it is clear that the slipspace drive has taken damage and has to be fired manually. Sergeant Forge elects to stay behind to detonate the reactor. While the remaining Spirit of Fire crew escapes, slingshotting around the sun, the Shield World is destroyed. Unable to return to human-controlled space without the slipspace drive, the crew enter cryosleep, hoping one day they may be found by the UNSC. Operation Smoking Aces, 1st May 2531. 3 Tari System. The operation was a raid by Spartan 2 Blue Team on an insurrection stronghold in the 3 Tari system. It was ultimately a setup by the United Rebel Front to draw on Blue Team while they tried to recover nuclear warheads in the insurrection stole from the UNSC. While the ambush was successful in capturing John 117, Fred 104, Linda 058, and Kelly 087, 5th Blue Team member Kurt 051 was able to evade the trap and successfully free the rest of the team. Blue Team was then able to recover the stolen warheads and complete the mission. In addition, Rebel leader General Howard Graves was killed during the raid. Spartan 3 program is approved. Earth, Oni headquarters. Colonel James Ackerson of Section 3 of the Office of Naval Intelligence meets with 3 Oni officers, Rear Admiral Rich, Captain Gibson, and Vice Admiral Parangoski. During the meeting, Ackerson moves forward a proposal for a new Spartan program, which retains most of the effectiveness of the Spartan 2 program without the high cost of the previous project. This becomes the Spartan 3 program, a more streamlined, disposable, and a more numerous group of Spartans that must be trained for high-risk operations. Colonel Ackerson is given the classified, UNSC-controlled world Onyx with the purpose of training the Spartan 3s, and is promised one of the Spartan 2s to train them. Investigation at Station Delphi. UNSC Station Delphi. Spartan 2s Kurt 051, Kelly 087, and Fred 104 are sent to investigate suspicious activity at Station Delphi. When Kurt 051 approaches a ruptured Shaw Fujikawa translight engine for a closer inspection, his thruster pack malfunctions and sends him spinning away into deep space. Unable to retrieve him, Kelly and Fred designate Kurt 051 as missing in action. Kurt 051 awakens a month later and meets Colonel Ackerson, who informs him that the events at Station Delphi were staged in order to recruit him. Kurt is told of the Spartan 3 project and is given orders to train the volunteers of the Spartan 3 program. Ackerson promotes him to lieutenant, junior grade, and assigns him the surname Ambrose to hide his previous service as a Spartan. Operation Switchback. Details of the operation were quickly redacted and labeled classified. It is only known that it was an operation led by the UNSC. Spartan 3 training begins 27 December 2531. Camp Onyx. Kurt Ambrose reduces the 497 volunteers for the Spartan 3 program to 300 trainees, all of which were orphaned by the Covenant War. In order to reduce the number of trainees, he ordered a nighttime high-altitude aerial drop from Pelicans. In order to assess who among the volunteers truly wants to be a Spartan, one of the volunteers, Shane A112, is frightened by the prospect of a drop and is taunted by another recruit, Robert A057. Upon reaching the ground, Shane attacks Robert for teasing him, and the two are separated by Navy personnel. Battle of Voden. 1st through 14th January 2532. Planet Voden. The Battle of Voden was a Covenant invasion of the colony world. Though the colony world suffered severe damage from the attack and was cut off from UNSC contact for 10 years, some of its inhabitants survived and continued to call the planet home. Included in these survivors was Spartan 2 Randall 037, who was believed to be KIA during the battle, but was brought back to health by the remaining colonists. Cole Protocol is established January 2535. In an effort to limit the ability for the Covenant to discover human colonies, including the inner colonies of Earth, the Cole Protocol was established to wipe all ship navigation data when the UNSC came into contact with any Covenant forces. The Cole Protocol also demanded that any human vessels retreating from battle perform slip-space jumps to a random location to ensure the Covenant couldn't follow any ships back to another colony. This protocol was first developed by Vice Admiral Preston Cole following the Battle of the Great Bear in 2530, but did not become standing orders to all UNSC vessels until 2535. Operation Hypodermic. 2535 to 2552. Location classified. The operation was an effort to collect information concerning the Covenant. In this time, dozens of prowlers were deployed. Known involved personnel included Admiral Preston Cole, Oni operators codenamed Coal Miner and Surgeon, and AI Cortana. Battle of Jericho 7. Operation Fallen Walls. 9th through 12th February 2535. Planet Jericho 7. a 3-day naval and ground battle pitting the UNSC versus the Covenant forces in the Lambda Serpentis system. The ground forces, including Spartan 2 Blue Team, were successful in repelling the Covenant invasion forces, but ultimately the UNSC Navy lost the battle in orbit, and UNSC troops were forced to retreat. The battle unfortunately resulted in the loss of Jericho 7 and the glassing of the planet. In addition to several Alpha Company Spartan 3s, Jameson Locke, Oni Agent, and later Spartan 4, were also orphaned during the battle. Battle of Charybdis 9, 2535. Planet Charybdis 9. The colony world was discovered using secret trackers placed in Covenant weapons the Kigyar were selling to human insurrectionists. The battle was brief, with all UNSC forces succumbing to the Covenant onslaught quickly, leaving the planet defenseless to be glassed. The only known ship to escape the battle was the UNSC Midsummer Night, which left to track the origin of the contraband weapons, leading to the Battle of the Rubble. Battle of the Rubble, 7th through 31st March 2535. Rubble, Insurrectionist Asteroid Base. An attack by Kigyar in the Rubble, an insurrectionist asteroid base which was constructed as a refugee base during the Covenant siege of Madrigal. The Kigyar are attempting to steal navigation data from Ignacio Delgado and his friend Melko Hollister. The Jackals want the data because it would lead the Covenant to humanity's homeworld, Earth. Melko manages to escape the fighting at Delgado's insistence that the last remaining navigation data leading to Earth must be kept safe. Unfortunately, Melko is shot and later dies of his wounds. While holding off the Jackals, Delgado is almost killed, but is saved by Spartan Adriana 111 of Grey Team. She hands him a beacon, which will send him a signal to her team to retrieve the data if he should no longer be capable of keeping it safe. She then orders to keep Grey Team a secret from the Rebel Security Council. Planet Chi-Ro. Lieutenant Jacob Keyes meets with Commander Dimitri Zhang and is transferred from teaching at the Luna OCS Academy to enforce the newly written Cole Protocol with a stealth frigate, the UNSC Midsummer Night. He returns to his ship with a new pilot, Jeffries, and Oni officer Major Watanabe in command. Rubble, Insurrectionist Asteroid Base. Delgado looks for clues, suspecting that someone within the Rebel Security Council is attempting to sell the navigation data to the Jackals, which would cause the insurrectionists to outlive their usefulness to the Covenant. Delgado learns of the Kestrel, a ship under the command of Peter Bonifacio, a known smuggler who is also on the Security Council. While trying to obtain information about the Kestrel, he meets Adriana 111 out of her armor in a small bar. They are both attacked by insurrectionists who overhear the questioning. After being saved again by Adriana, he is taken to the Spartan ship, the Petya, to meet Jai 006 and Michael 120. Jai explains that Grey Team has been working to destroy any navigation data as per the Cole Protocol, and that they are causing general havoc against the insurrectionists. As Delgado leaves, he is instructed to find out more about the Security Council leak. UNSC Midsummer Night. Jacob Keyes attempts to enforce the Cole Protocol on a civilian freighter. When the lieutenant and a group of ODSTs board the freighter, the insurrectionist captain detonates a bomb in a container, killing a number of ODSTs, including their commander, First Lieutenant Canfield. Later, discovering that the freighter is rigged to detonate the moment Midsummer Night was within blast radius, Keyes and the ODSTs are forced to leave the ship by creating a hull breach. Keyes leaves first, taking the armor of an ODST and jumping into space, using his rifle to maneuver, applying Newton's third law. Keyes is luckily able to contact the Midsummer Night and warn the crew. However, the insurrectionists on the civilian freighter detonate the ship to kill as many of the escaping ODSTs as possible. Keyes is eventually recovered along with most of the ODSTs, including 2nd Lieutenant Faison, despite the dramatic explosion.
have a feeling before this is over, we'll need every last Spartan in the fight. I can do this. Report back to the ship.
Good luck, sir. It's been an honor.